real. The scientists overwhelmingly agree that, and this is a thing that I say I don't care, that humans are causing it. Okay, I don't care. For all I know, it could be a massive crack in the Earth's mantle hidden by the jungle canopy spewing out methane. The fact of the matter is that the level of carbon in the atmosphere is rising to very large numbers. We're up to like 400 parts per million now. That's too much. Gotta bring it down. Regardless of whether or not man has created it, stop that argument. Blame the earth. Blame the fucking seals. Blame the goddamn elephant seal. You ever seen an elephant seal? Fucker go, it looks like an inchworm that's too fat. Can't move around. Imagine if you took Joe Pesci and cut off his arm and leg and tell him to move down the beach. There's your goddamn elephant seal. There's your elephant seal. Maybe they're farting too much. Okay, who the fuck cares why we're at 400 parts per million at this point? We have to do something about it, folks. We have to. You're not seeing what's coming. I saw a report about somebody in Congress going, well, are you telling me that the 400 parts per million of carbon in the atmosphere can directly harm humans? And the scientist said, no. And I will continue with where the scientist left off and say, no. In the same way that nuclear weapons blowing up 500 miles from you will not harm you, the carbon in the atmosphere will not harm you. It's the fucking fallout. It's a series of events that happens, people. Learn about climate change. Stop believing a few doubters when you've got so many millions that understand the science and believe in. This is not a fucking scam. This is real. We need to get this shit right. Look up Kyoto, look up actual science, look up NASA's website. Stop thinking that just because you heard a story that a couple scientists fudged some numbers to make their reports look worse than they were. It's happening, folks. I've done the research. I know my fucking science. I don't want it to be true. I didn't buy stock in any kind of green energy, okay? I'm fucking broke. But I know the truth. The truth is all this show gives a shit about. Climate change is big and it's happening, and you're going to see it first when the climate refugees go on the move and start flooding your city with people your city can't afford to take care of. And you're going to say, oh shit, they were right. By then it's too late. I'm saying do something about it now. Also, heard a radio show, a very good friend of mine who is deeply intelligent, this guy, deeply intelligent, who, like many people, got a little bit confused about the difference between the debt and the deficit. Do you know the difference, folks? Let's just talk here for a minute.
Truth on Tap with host Kevin.
That was Eno's Copenhagen NB. And should have some people calling in here in about 10 minutes. It gives me about 10 minutes to do my thing. Listen for a second, okay? The national deficit is not the same as the national debt. Do we know the difference? Do we know the difference? Because from everything from Jon Stewart's debate with Bill O'Reilly, right down to what I see a lot of my friends posting online, it breaks my heart that you don't know the difference between the two. And it's not really hard stuff. It can get kind of funky when you, yeah, I'm promoting pseudoscientific woo-woo. I'm sorry, RD, but I believe in it with all my heart. I believe. I've seen the core samples. I've seen the research. And if you think about where it's leading, it's terrifying. I won't even get into the water wars. I won't even get into the crazy weather that's going to come out of all this. I won't even get into the ice caps melting and decreasing the salinity in the water and stopping the fucking ocean currents and killing the coral reefs and that causing a chain effect that's going to create a major food shortage. I'm not even getting into all that. Don't need to. All we need to look at is the climate refugees from the sea level increase. Okay? That is going to create major fucking havoc. Refugees fleeing from coastlines. It's going to get real ugly, folks. Look this shit up. If you don't want to believe it because you heard a couple of scientists, I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what to say to you. I just want you to read the science from reputable sources. Don't listen to Congress people at all, from any side, promoting or demoting. Go to the scientists. Go to the source of this shit. It is real. I don't want it to be real. It's real. And what I was talking about was the difference between the U.S. deficit and the national debt. It's kind of important that you know this. And the reason that is because, first of all, if you don't know and you get into a debate about it, you're not going to sound very smart. Now, one. Number two, with political midterms coming up, and then also you have the presidential election in just a couple of years, this is going to be a topic. You're going to hear the words debt and deficit tossed about quite a bit. So you need to know the difference between the two. And I'm just going to give you, there is a complex relationship between the two that I'm not getting into. It's a little deeper. But the difference between the two is this. The deficit is really the difference between what we're bringing in every year and what we're spending every year at a federal level. That's the deficit. That's an annual thing, okay? And the debt is the ongoing and currently growing ongoing budget, not budget, but essentially negative cash flow. Let's go ahead and use a euphemism. It's negative cash flow. It's growing. We keep owing more and more. And that has come in part to compensating for deficits that were in the negative, okay? When we're bringing in $2 or $3 trillion, okay, in revenues, and we're spending $4 or $5 trillion, there's a problem there. We're going negative. Where are we getting that? We're borrowing. What is that getting added to? The national debt. Do you understand the difference? So yes, the Obama administration since 2008 has been gradually reducing the deficit. That is the annual difference between income and outgo, or what they call outlays. This is something you need to be familiar with just so you don't get caught with your pants down in a discussion about it, okay? So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to share a link. And I'm sharing the link on the Facebook announcement for the episode you're listening to right now. The Facebook page is facebook.com/truthontapshow. Facebook.com/truthontapshow. Don't forget the show. It's easy to forget. A lot of people say, I can't find it. I typed in Truth on Tap. No, it's Truth on Tap Show. Facebook fucked with me. I had to add the show. So it's facebook.com/truthontapshow. You'll see a live announcement for the show you're listening to now. It's called Freestyle with Comedy and Paranormal. In the comments section, I like to share links that matter, that somehow apply to the show. It could be a link to someone else's show, like I'll do with RDs, or it could be a news item I was talking about. And what I'm sharing is an article. And this article it's a breakdown basically done by howstuffworks.com. Not a perfect source, but they did their research on this one. And it's called What's the Difference Between the U.S. Deficit and the National Debt? Very important to know the difference between these two. Keep in mind, when I was in college studying economics, it was a summer crash course at Christopher Newport University. So we'd go 3 hours, a 3-hour class per week, all 3 hours crunched together. Otherwise, you had a choice of going to 3 1-hour classes, or, they had a few different breakdowns. And I'm taking my fucking economics from a guy named George Zestos. Any of you CNU people that listen to this, you remember him. Greek dude. Could barely speak English. So I'm taking on a topic I know nothing about, economics, and I'm learning it from a dude that can barely speak English. And I got my A, okay, because I focused on the on the textbooks. And I'm not saying that I became an expert with one course in global economics, but I did learn a lot, and I remember a lot from it. And there are some very odd relationships between various forms of income and outgo, or outlay as they like to call it. These are things you need to understand if you want to understand the nation's economy. It's not as simple as many news organizations would like you to believe. It's kind of complex. And it's easy to say, well, we got to cut spending and reduce entitlements and increase revenue, when as soon as you go to cut Social Security, the elderly population is going to snap. Soon as you go to increase revenue, the taxpayers are going to snap. It's not simple. This is not, you can't just reduce government spending so much that suddenly you have a surplus. One area we can cut and need to cut, it's something that's eating up 20% of our annual budget right now, is the Department of Defense. We could cut that down to 10%, folks. We could cut it down to 10% and still be the world superpower. We can do it because we can do it using our brains. We've got nuclear weapons protecting us at all times. Yes, we need boots on the ground here and there. Yes, we need to give to foreign aid to help our allies collect intelligence for us and defend themselves as well. These are all things we need to put into. But our Navy, for example, is larger than the next 13 largest navies in the world combined. That word combined should scare you. Take the next biggest 13 navies, put them all together, you're still smaller than the U.S. Navy. Now think about that. Do we need that much power? What happened? The military-industrial complex happened. People got on the government teat, if you will, contractors. And once you get in, you don't want to get out. Wait, I'm making $200,000 a year from a U.S. grant for the Department of Defense to develop a better anchor for our Navy ships. I'm not going to give that up. I'm going to start creating reasons that they need a better anchor if they don't really need one. This is where it happens. It happens at the contractor level. Contractor level. And I used to do government work for contracts, and I know that you can rip them off. I didn't. I was training Vietnam veterans to use computers. I charged $40 an hour. I charged no travel. So for 10 hours of instruction, it cost the VA $400, okay, per person. And if they lived across the state, that was on me. That was my gas money, my car wear and tear. I didn't charge them travel. I said a straight $40 an hour. So was I ripping them off? Half of those things I'd lose $100 right off. So now I was down to $30 an hour to use the 15 years of expertise I had in computers to teach Vietnam veterans who were 100% disabled due to PTSD, who could have snapped and went off on me at any time. Yeah, there's a risk factor. But I didn't mind it to help take care of my fellow veterans, and I think I charged a fair price. Here's the question, though. What if I had asked them for $200 an hour? They would have given it to me. Because there was no one else in the state of Vermont that could do what I offered to do, traveling around training these vets under this very specific clause. They would have given it to me. Now, how many people do you think out there are being honest and saying, it shouldn't cost that much? I'm charging what it's worth. Very few? You're right. It's very few. And what's more is they're trying to promote and pay for projects that are unnecessary. Who's doing the oversight? Half of the budget we spend to the military, it's black budget. You're not allowed to ask questions. Congress can't know a fucking thing about it. How is that okay? Why is that okay with you? Demand some sort of special top-secret congressional oversight into how black budget money is being spent, and you're going to find that a shitload of it's being wasted because they're under the cover. Brent Tinfish Workington may be on the line or may not. Is this Tinfish? Is this Tinfish?
It's Tinfish.
Tinfish, are you not a 9-fish? Tinfish, I wish you'd give me my wish. There's a problem with the internet connection between you two. Oh, great.
Hello.
Yeah, it says we're having a problem. Tinfish, it says we're having a problem with the internet connection. Are you on a slow connection, sir? Can you hear me, Tinfish? Can you hear me, buddy?
You hear me now?
I can hear you. I think we just have a very slow connection. Can you turn off your video feed so it doesn't chew up your bandwidth? Do you know how to do that?
I'm on my phone.
Okay. Well, I want you to stay on. Let's try to make it work. You guys that didn't know this is Brent Tinfish Workington, comedian out of Chicago. And part of the reason we're doing this show is so that he can have some therapy. We're calling this public therapy. I want my man Tinfish to find happiness again in life. And that's what we're going to help him do. So how you feeling, Tinfish? Tell me and our audience here how Tinfish is doing.
I'm doing alright. You know, it's just probably gonna be moving soon, and you know, I don't want to move. I've been in the house in Homer Glen for over 26 years.
Yeah. Where do you think you're moving to? Do you know?
Chicago Heights. It's in another suburb of Chicago.